Boom, boom. Here we go. Says we're live and we're 1 second in. Welcome. This
Oh.
is episode number 12. Second episode with Mr. Ethan from Michigan. Nobody knows who he is anymore. Changed his YouTube channel name. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Ethan, how's it going? What you been up to?
Well, first I'm going to take a little picture.
Do it.
I'm put that on my little Instagram deal. Man, I'm good. I'm excited to chat again. It's been a while, and I feel like the last couple of months I haven't really watched a ton of fishing videos. So I feel like we haven't really been in touch. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to kind of reconnect and hear what you've been up to, and then talk a little bit about what I've been up to.
Also, like I like a couple days ago, you posted that video, the Daiwa versus the what was it? Something else. It's two rods. I'm like the what?
The Daiwa Kage and then the Dobbins Sierra. Yeah.
Two rods are really interested in it. I remember I started to watch it, I had to leave, and then right just like 10 minutes ago, I turned it on and my TV's not working. It's like I don't even know what's going on. I'm gonna have to unplug it, I guess. It's a computer now. Even your TV's a computer nowadays. It's crazy. So I couldn't. It was like it looked like it was a cartoon. The way all the colors were off. So I still got to watch that video. I wanted to see that one. I've actually went to go buy. I think the Dobbins twice, and they were sold out. The ones I want. So like twice I've gone to go buy one online, and they didn't have them. But I still want to try that rod.
Yeah,
so. What was your take on that rod? Did you really like that one?
I let you hold them. I let you hold them while you're up here, so you kind of like know what it felt like, right? It was like
that's like one time. Yeah.
I know, but you know what to expect once you get it. It's like extremely fast. It's got the solid tip, as they like a solid tip. Basically means it's really really thin, but it makes it really really fast, extremely sensitive. So I think you'll like it. So whenever you do find one available,
well, that's the thing. I have to order it. I wish I could go try it out at a store. I don't know any stores that carry that in the ultralight. But anyways, real quick, let's do a couple updates. Go ahead. What'd you say? Let's do I keep getting messages from people. Josh, quit messaging me about telling me they're catching fish. Don't tell me you're catching fish right when I'm talking about fishing. Real quick, I just got done with my last basketball practice before our first game. So we scrimmaged for a lot today. My basketball team, I hate to say this, but they're looking a lot better than last year. Actually, it's good. Last year we didn't do good. We were terrible. This year, I think we're going to win some games. It's like all new kids almost. So it's like a whole team's change. So I'm excited. I'm ready for this year's season to get going. We got a tournament Thursday and Friday. So that's our first game, a tournament. So that's awesome. Get right into it. I know Ethan's a baller. But I'm excited about getting that. Also, something else is going on. I got some. I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you later. I'm going to ask some people in the comments about kayak stuff here in a minute. Also, I caught a big smallmouth. We'll talk about that because I was pretty excited about that. And so, what's been going on with you last few weeks? How's the weather and stuff?
So honestly, I feel like I haven't been fishing as much as I'd like to, but I'm still sneaking out here and there. Weather's starting to get a lot colder here. I just went out this last weekend with a buddy, and we were mostly bass fishing. That water temperature was in the low 50s, high 40s, so certainly changed. But we still caught a lot of fish. Didn't get on any of the really big ones we were hoping to find, but caught a lot of fish. So the bass are still biting. The crappie seem to be biting pretty well. The bluegill kind of had a spurt of real aggressive here a couple weeks back, but I think they're kind of calming down a little bit, kind of getting in that funk a little bit in between like late fall and early winter where they're kind of not really sure what they want to do. But all in all, it's been good. Whenever I get a chance to get out, I've been catching fish, so I'm not going to complain.
That's awesome. Dude, I have had the weirdest days of fishing this last 2 weeks. And it's not that I can't find the fish. There's fish everywhere, and I can't get them to bite.
Yeah.
It's been weird. The weather, I don't know. I think they got into feeding mode like a month ago. They were fired up. Now they're just like, what do I do? It's crazy. I know where they're at right now. I know 2 places where they're stacked up, and I found them off the bank. I think I'm going to go with the guy tomorrow. We're supposed to go out. I found so many fish. And there's just there's just shad everywhere. You'll see them busting, but I could not get a bite. Me, Josh Sharp, and Alex Rudd kayaked the river the other day. It looked so good. and we barely caught any fish. We came across a section where they were loaded. They were giants, like 4-pound spots, 5-pound largemouth. We didn't get any of them to bite. It was
like, was the water really clear? You were just seeing
super
them?
clear and very low. The dam was off. But they were like stacked up in this like 150, 200 yard section where the river kind of gets deeper and bigger. It was wild just to watch. I'm editing the video now. It should come out probably Wednesday. I'm gonna try to have it done for Wednesday if I don't forget. But that was really weird. Then I went out yesterday. No, was it yesterday? I went out Monday to try to catch some crappie. I'm like, I'm gonna go catch a crappie. I caught a couple skipjack, caught one little bass, caught 2 giant golden shiners. No crappie. Couldn't get the bluegill to bite. It was crazy. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just it's that time of the year where things change, but it's so weird when you see fish and you're just like, there's fish everywhere, and you're just like, you don't know what's gonna bite, what's not.
Some of those real clear water situations where the water's low, and especially in like a transition phase between like a fall, a time of year, it's like I can understand why that's super frustrating, but I can understand why they're lockjaw. It can be that way. I mean, if the wind isn't blowing, especially, I feel like when the wind's blowing a little bit, that tends to probably help things, I would say, in the fall, especially in clear water. But if you kind of had a still day and the fish were up shallow, probably what you need to do is really make long casts and kind of see them, or like get to them before they could see you, is my best bet, but I could be totally wrong.
The ones I caught in the river, I was fishing a Helgermite, and I had to be like so patient. It was like the ones I did see, I threw out there, and I'd watch them. They would follow my bait. They follow it all the way to the bottom and just sit there. And there, Alex is on a kayak, and he said, "There's a giant right under me." And he was tying up. He said, "Cast right there." I cast over there. He goes, "Oh, you're about to catch a big one." And I don't know what that fish ever did. He came down. He said he followed my lure, and he lost sight of it. And I never bit or nothing. I'm like, it was crazy.
That's happened to me a couple times recently too. So when I've been out doing some of these ultralight videos, and I'll get out there and I'll be kind of trying to catch a bunch of bluegill. All of a sudden I'll look down and I'll just see these big bass just cruising the banks, and they're kind of in the fall mode too. They're probably cruising around looking for bait fish and whatnot. But by the time, they see me and I see them, it's kind of too late. So I'm flipping my little tiny, 1/32 or 1/64 ounce jigs at them, just kind of hoping that they just suck it in. And they came on a couple times. They came awful close. They come up, kind of nose up on it, and then they're like, I'm not so sure. I see a big kayak right next to me. I'm gonna skip out of here. So yeah, been there, done that.
The ones I saw Monday, I went to the lake, and they were in they're in super shallow water, like 2 foot of water. And I know they weren't seeing me, but I threw a few different lures, and they didn't care at all. They would just swim away as soon as they hit the water. Never went over and like inspected it or anything. But like, I'm supposed to go tomorrow, same area with a guy. He said it's supposed to be windy. I never really understand how the wind affects that, but
cuts down on visibility. I think it just also fires them up a little bit. I think they get a little more aggressive in their feeding when there's wind in the fall. Not necessarily always, but I would say the wind, it cuts down on the clarity a little bit. They're not really able to see the hooks as well. And I think they just a little more prone to bite. But in my opinion, fall plus wind, I feel like moving baits is kind of the play. As long as the water temp's not too cold. But yeah, I don't know. You try your spinner bait and all that stuff, try your jerk baits and see what happens.
I got to try jerk baits more. I know people use this a lot. I know you like them. I still never use them. I got to do it. Well, let's go. I got a couple comments here. Let's go ahead through a few comments, and then I got a couple questions for Ethan. Texas Sam says, "Thank you for all the videos. Now I have to ask, do you plan on going any states you haven't fished, or possibly different areas of Texas?" I've only been to Texas once, and I would love to go back. But there is a state that I really wanted to go to this year, and there's a spot that I wanted to fish. I never went. It's 12 hours away. It's in Louisiana. And it's not probably what anybody thinks of Louisiana fishing. That's why I want to go there. It's a spot that a guy sent me like 3 years ago, and I like read some stuff about it. It's like super clear, sandy water, full of spotted bass, like creek wading, and it's on like a government land, and I guess it's a state property, like property or whatever. I don't know, but I saw some stuff about it, and I got it marked. It's like some public spot, so I'm gonna try to do that. Seth, what's up, man? Caught 112 fish today on live worms. I think I would have caught a lot more of the day if I'd used worms. I should have get those out. Sometimes that's what you got to go to, especially when you see them, especially them sunfish. You see them and they just won't bite nothing. It's like, all right, guess it's right in front of their face. Let's sit there for a minute. The weather's gonna be a lot colder in Northwest Alabama. I wish the weather would drop. I'd rather it drop. I'm tired of it. I was sweating yesterday out. I'm like, I like it warm, or nice weather, but sometimes I like the winter to show up. Sup, Josh? How are you? Just curious. How do you fish? Don't listen to anything fast and very. It's always sarcastic. Yeah. He may have seen that 20 of smallmouth before everybody else did. I have 2 warm days left, then it snows Friday. Metatron's Cube. Where do you live at? I want to know where that's at. Nick says, I know John's from Southeast Tennessee. Where is Ethan based out of?
I am based out of Southwest Michigan. Yep, Southwest Michigan. So I've got a lot of, I'm pretty close to like Lake Michigan, so I can get over there and fish bigger water if I want to. But I'm in a kayak, so I tend to stay close to where I'm at and fish a lot of like smaller inland lakes. And John got a taste of that here a couple months ago and kind of get a feel for what my lakes are like. A lot of vegetation, pretty clear water, lots of diversity, lots of sunfish, lots of bass.
I was trying to explain to somebody the other day about the lake system, and I'm like, I don't know. There's nothing I can compare it to or like tell them because it's so unusual. I'm not used to that. Like lake connects to lake, connects to lake, connects to lake. It's just like,
there's
like, well, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's kind of just like they call it like a chain of lakes, but they're pretty, a lot of times they're small and they're connected via like a little creek or like a canal of some type. But there's definitely lots of those, but there's also lots of just like standalone small lakes. They're just natural lakes, that's kind of difference between here in Michigan and probably a lot of the South. It's like probably river systems that are reservoirs, that sort of thing. Yeah. Those are they fish different. They've got different water clarity, they're just very different style fishing. And I grew up in Kansas, so what I'm used to is shallow, muddy reservoirs. And so then going from that to where I am now, it's quite a difference.
G Taylor says, you've got me into fishing again, half crippled and all. Love the content. Hey, keep it up, man. Get out there and get it done. Yes, this is where you give the election results. That's my buddy Derek.
I was wondering what I kept seeing those. I'm like, is this like a spam?
He helps me do my YouTube, or he doesn't help me do. He helps me a lot of stuff. He actually helped my first design. Oh, all right, Derek, if you're watching, hold on, I gotta show you this because I'm gonna need this put on some other stuff. Got my new logo design done. Also, this is my new logo that I'm gonna become. I got it on shirts finally. They're not out yet, like for sale, because I just got it in and I'm trying to go about it the right way. And whenever I'm ready to like say they're for sale, I want to have everything ready and like have a shirt that I like and everything. I was over Derek's house the other day. Oh, so also Derek, if you're still watching, I should have took the cake that I left at your house. I went to his church on Sunday after a tournament, and they had a cake sale, like what's it called? Cake auction or whatever after church. I was like, this is just the Lord led me here on the right day. So I bought 2 cakes. I left one at his house. And I was like, I'll just take one with me. And the one I took, I didn't like. I forgot what it was. It was.
Oh, no.
It was. I don't know what. I forgot what it was. I ate like one piece. I'm like,
You got a fruit cake.
The money went to a good cause.
There you go.
Let's see here. Oh, here we go. Actually, I got some news on this. Charlie says, we're mounting a rescue mission for John's drone once the lake freezes up. Yes, I still got the spot marked out. We're going out there to get it. Now, it'd probably be under 3 foot of ice. Ethan, I ordered a drone today. I finally did it. I've been putting it off, and I kept looking on there, and I found one that was like $440.
There we go.
Refurbished with everything, and I'm like, all right, go. Let's get
it.
And
I happily contributed to that cause, so I'm happy to. Right. I'm happy to hear.
I've been holding on to your money. It's just been.
I would have been like, "Well, hey, you never got a drone."
Yeah. I just took your money. So it only cost me $340 actually.
There you go.
Because Ethan helped me out on that one. Hey, Raymond Outdoors. Oh, dude, Raymond Outdoors caught a big old fish recently. That was really cool to see.
On your technique, man.
That was. I was so awesome just to see. I was like, wait, what is this? What is he doing?
That's a cool concept he's got going over
Yeah.
there. So Ramon, he's gonna be doing
Ramon.
this like fish like series
Yeah.
that he's been telling me. And his first one, he kicked it off with you, and he threw your classic old yum dinger, and what do you know, paid off.
I couldn't believe it worked out. I was like, what? Usually when you try to do some kind of like, concept idea like that, it never works out right. You're like I want to try
He'll
this.
do a fish like Ethan, fish like fish anything, and he'll probably catch a bunch of bass that big, and that'll be fitting, you
Hey.
know.
All right. I hoping the white bass show up soon. I got a place where they do show up, but usually not till like February, March. That usually if I can get to the when the white bass show up in like early spring, I'm like, yes, I get something to go fish for. That's like aggressive. I do need to go to some of the Susquehanna rivers. Let's see here. Anybody else? Let me come fish Alabama. Yeah, I need to go down there too. I can't really travel much. I mean, I got a couple little trips coming up, but I can't do much because I got basketball. So it's like I can't do much throughout the winter. Got any news on some new Mule products in the works?
I've got some stuff in the works. I don't necessarily have any news at this point, but I would say look out in the next. I don't know. I can't tell when everything's gonna be done. Pretty early on right now, but always working on something. So I guess what I always kind of lead people with on this is mule fishing is a light line multi-species company. That's what it is, and that's what it's planning to be. So you're not going to see a 10-inch swim bait, but you will see more stuff that's kind of rounding out the system and helping people catch fish with lighter gear.
Josh Bassmere says which drone? I got the same one I had before, the DJI Mini 2. It seems like the best one. Like I don't know much other ones, but I think what's up Creek Crawler. Whoa, what is this? Dale Hollow Shootout starts tomorrow. Huh.
Better get over there.
I got a basketball tournament this weekend, but I am going to try to do the Bass Nation tournament on Dale Hollow December 3rd. I'm trying to do that, but I have a game that Friday night, so I want to get up there. It's like a 3.5 hour drive for me at Dale Hollow, and I want to try to do that tournament, but we'll see what happens. But all right, let's go to a couple questions here. Hold on, can't get it back up. So I still got you saved in my phone as Ethan Online Outdoorsman.
Oh no,
I know. Now I don't know who you are anymore. What's it been like? Tell for people that maybe they didn't see your video where you talked about it. I thought you explained it very well, but give us a little reason. Like you changed your channel name. Mm-hmm. How has it changed anything? How's it affected anything? Are you happy? Remorse. Changer's remorse. I don't know if there's a thing.
I think change is always hard. It's hard to let go of something that like I kind of came to know myself as after 5-6 years. I kind of just chose that name early on, and I chose it originally. Online Outdoorsman was my former like channel name, and I chose that originally because I wanted to bring the outdoors online. I wanted to bring like fishing videos, but I intended to do like more hiking and some camping type content. And what I realized pretty early on was that what I like making videos on is fishing. And then I never really bothered changing the name, but over time, as I have like 500 videos. I don't even know how many videos. I've made a ton of them. As I've continued to make more and more, I've realized I almost feel like my name might be holding me back because it's not really indicative of kind of like what I do and what I plan to do. And so I went through the process. I ended up ultimately landing on the name Fish Anything. And I'll tell you, there's numerous things that went into this. I had a list of names. I probably had 100 names that I came up with, but it was stressful. I mean, it was a lot of work, but I wanted something that indicated what I like doing and what I plan to continue doing. And I started thinking about like ultralight focused names because I love ultralight fishing. But I realized that if I focus on like the ultralight name, I just thought that would be kind of taking away from some of the stuff I plan to do. Because like I still plan to do a lot of pike fishing and bass fishing and stuff that requires heavier gear. So I didn't want to necessarily put myself in this little like, this little box. I also thought about the names like with multi-species in the title because I just love multi-species fishing, catching numerous types of fish. I love bass fishing as much as the next guy, but I also love bluegill and crappie and yellow perch, and the list goes on. So then as I kind of thought about it more, it's like Fish Anything is the best for me because I do so much diversity of fishing. I have to be completely honest. Like I think, John, some of your, the fish anywhere, fish or fish anything, fish everything, or fish anywhere, fish everywhere. Is that it? Fish anywhere, fish everywhere. Yeah. That definitely, like, I think hearing that probably consciously made me think fish anything. So you probably deserve some credit there. But I wasn't intentional. But anyways, I chose that because I love bank fishing, wade fishing, boat, kayak. I love every species, and I love embracing the bite no matter what I catch. So if I'm out bass fishing and I hook a carp, I'm not the kind of guy that gets mad because I hooked a carp. I'm the kind of guy that's like, heck yeah, this is awesome. And I wasn't always that way, but I want to encourage people to feel that way because for whatever reason, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like people kind of dog on certain species they don't care about as much. They kind of like glorify bass and some of these sport fish, but there's a lot of other fish out there that can be a lot of fun. And so I kind of want to bring that multi-species vibe to the internet to kind of help people understand just how much fun like all different types of fishing can be. So that's why I ultimately landed on Fish Anything. As far as how it's been going, I haven't really noticed major differences. I feel like most people are starting to understand it. I'm not super worried about like the short-term impact. I think my goal would be like a long-term, a long-term growth, hopefully, just because people will better understand kind of what my name, means. And so they'll more likely click subscribe and follow along because they might realize they actually like all the stuff I put out. Whereas before I kind of felt like maybe people might see one video and then walk away because they thought, I was doing other stuff. So who knows? I'm not that worried about it. I have fun with it, and it doesn't change a whole lot. I mean, it changes a name, but it doesn't change what I do. So
yeah, I think it's cool. Like for people that are coming there, obviously new people, and they're like fish anything. Well, that's a different take. It's not bass fishing channel, generic bass fishing, something bass fishing, or something like that, or just somebody's name. Like I don't care who that guy is, but fishing anything, you're like, okay, this guy might, fish anything. So people it's definitely people. I think I was talking to, it was either Matt or Creek Crawler. I can't remember who I said this to. I talked about them recently, and I was going to ask you, like, have you noticed any change on YouTube? Obviously that's what we deal with mostly. And I don't know how much you watch like YouTube fishing and just like are like really dialed into it or not. But like, have you noticed a change of like channels that started that do multi-species fishing or just like pan fishing, and it's just like, hey, I'm just going to go out and do this type of fishing, where I feel like 4 or 5 years ago when I first started, I couldn't find anybody hardly doing it. There was only a handful maybe. And if you saw somebody do it, it was just like a random, hey, we're going to do a creek fishing video and we're going to go catch anything. It's like something very rare and like a novelty.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like I don't watch a lot of YouTube videos, but I do kind of, I don't know, I see what's out there to a degree when I'm just putzing around the internet. But I think if you look back of like the history of YouTube, I think you'll kind of see a lot of the same trends that were going on early that are going on now. So when I first started making videos, which was like way back in high school. So I mean, over 10 years ago, no, shoot, 13, 14 years ago. I don't know, I'm 29, whatever. When I was 15, so about 14 years ago, I started making videos and stuff. And that was like really early YouTube. But like people like John B were out there, right? And he's like a big name now, and that's great. But he was making these fishing videos, bass fishing videos, and numerous species. But a lot of people kind of like started to, I think, copy some of the people that were having success and were already doing things. And I'm not like blaming people for doing so. But over time, I feel like you've got these big names, these people that do this type of stuff, and then people kind of follow that. They kind of get inspiration from it. They do the similar things. Well, now there's more prominent people like you and myself to a very, very small degree. But people like Extreme Philly Fishing, some of these people that do like multi-species stuff that have a big following, I think ultimately there's a lot of people that see that, get inspired by that, and then they want to do more of that. So I definitely see there's more of this style of fishing on YouTube now, and it's probably going to continue to grow because I think people, outside of just fishing, people also like trying to have some success on social media, and so they're going to kind of go where they think they're going to get views, and I think this is an opportunity for them. So
me and a few buddies of mine talking recently, and we love like kayaking river floats. Like we love doing those. Like anytime we can do a river, anytime we can get together, we're doing a river float usually, because that's, get to experience a lot. You get to go through things. And we were talking about, we've seen a lot of these bigger channels finally start doing stuff like that. If you've been noticing, actually, I've been following John B recently, and he's done several like floats and like more adventure like experiences, not just fishing. And I always wondered why a lot of these guys didn't do that, because I think that is the most fun. I don't know if they knew how to show it on camera or were afraid of how it would come across, because they might actually catch little fish. And now they'll catch, especially I love watching them catch those little quads, and maybe only 10-inch bass, but they're really cool because they're cool little fish.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like, and you might not catch, the giants that are in there, but it's more about the adventure. And I like seeing that. I don't know if somebody was like, they've been watching your channel. I was like, well, there's lots of channels that do that. But it is cool to see other people do things that I think it's really fun. Kind of adventures where it used to be real boring, I thought, to me.
I think when I don't really care much about, like, I can't say I'm like a fan of anyone to a large degree, only just because I just don't watch lots of videos. I mean, just like, I think you watch probably a little more than me, but at the same time, you probably find you don't have tons of time to watch content because you're editing so much, you're fishing so much. So for me, it's like I've got my job, I've got this, and really my free time I spend with my kid, and I just don't have a ton of time to watch. So I can't say I'm like a diehard fan of anyone, but I would say like a huge, respect to someone like John B. I mean, he's kind of always done it his way, I would say. But to your point, like, there's some of these people that have been successful in certain areas, and now they're starting to do other things. And I don't know, maybe it's for views, maybe it's because they're getting tired of what they're doing. I don't know, but I can't speak to other people. All I can speak to is myself.
That is, if like, I like talking about different YouTubers, and it's not like I do know a bunch of people. It's kind of weird. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do this channel. But it's not like I know these big time people. I don't know any of those guys. As far as like the trailblazers and stuff. Well, you're a trailblazer. You've been out here longer than anybody.
Dude, I deleted all my videos from back then. Honestly, it did the world a favor. All my videos from back in those days were so like, they were what you'd expect from a 15-year-old that had no idea what he was doing and was filming off of some like really cheap type. It's so. I kick myself for deleting all that stuff, because I would love personally to be able to go back and kind of see where it started. But I still have plenty of cringy videos out there.
But I like to see a few of these. There's a couple of guys that I pay attention to, and I want to see what they're doing, just to kind of see, just to follow people. And I know people. I bet that I know that a lot of people follow me from a distance just to see, hey, how's that going to go? Maybe they saw me quit my job early or do different things, and they're just like keeping an eye, like, how's it gonna go? How's this thing gonna work out for him? I like watching these other channels and just see the guys that they don't have to keep making videos, but they do, and they look like they're enjoying it. So, because I've been doing it 6 years now or something, like, that's a long time in YouTube world, and that's a lot of hours editing and out there and filming and messing up and trying over. I just think about, like, what am I going to do? Am I going to get tired? Am I, at some point I don't think I'm going to do this forever, but I got to do something. I don't know, but
yeah, who knows?
Here's a question for you. I wanted to throw this in there, non-fishing related. Maybe it could be, I don't know. But what do you watch? I know you don't watch too much fishing. You probably don't, but what is your main thing? Do you watch YouTube, or do you watch other shows, or do you have something that's like, hey, this is my non-fishing, or like just like something else I want to watch?
Yeah, I definitely watch, I watch a lot of like TV series and stuff. Mostly just because, so I get up in the morning, I work on Mule stuff, and then I work out, and then I go to work, and then I come back and do like dad / duties, just being a good family member, I guess. And then after dinner, it's like little man goes to bed. And at that point, like, I'm ready to just have like my chill time and spend time with my wife. So we just kind of watch TV shows. I like a good like TV series. So I watch a lot of like, I just got done with the House of Dragon stuff from the Game of Thrones stuff. Okay. I like a lot of like the medieval type war type shows, Vikings, Kingdom, stuff like that. I don't know. I enjoy that. But aside from that, like on the weekends, watch a little bit of college football, and then I do watch, like, if I see Major League Fishing is on or like Bassmaster is on, I'm always going to tune into that. And then on YouTube, I mean, I watch like you and then a handful of other guys, but really not a whole lot, to tell you the truth.
The guys I watch on YouTube come in spurts. Like I keep up with a lot, and like I talk to some of these guys, and some of them are local, and I talk to them more often. And we know we don't all watch each other's stuff, and it would be impossible to think, or it would be arrogant to think that even if it's your best friend, is that he's going to watch every video you put out. Like, don't be that guy. We just understand. We ask each other, "Hey, did you see that video? If not, I don't care. I'm just asking because I want to make a point." So I'm like, "Did you see this video?" Either way, it doesn't matter. I just want to ask. I just want to talk about something. So that's why we always do it. Like, "Hey, did you see that video? Did okay? Never mind." Because I want to, tell you about a fish I caught or something like that. So if they say yes, then you understand.
Yeah, for anyone that's like relatively early on in their YouTube journey that's watching this, that like does have a channel and wants to grow, it's like I would highly, highly encourage you. Don't try to get stuff. You don't try to get views out of other channels. Like if you're focused on, like if you're planting comments on every video solely because you want to get your name seen, if you're getting to that point, like you're doing it the wrong way. Focus on your own content, make your own content, enjoy your own content, and those views will come over time. But be yourself and be authentically yourself. The people that, I mean, it's very easy to see because I think that we probably, I mean, I would be lying if I didn't say like early on, I probably did some of that type of stuff. And I realized pretty quick that it's like, what am I doing? Like, I'm trying to get this person that's busy editing their own videos to watch my video. I'm focusing on the wrong area here. So don't do that. I can tell you will enjoy it a whole lot more if you don't do that.
Yeah. Don't focus on anybody you know at all. Don't even worry about those people.
Just
like you got to reach people you don't know. That's the people you got to reach. You got to come across a guy's channel that's never seen you before, and he sees it and he just likes what he sees, and obviously have some good selection to show him. But
trading views. Okay, let's think about the sustainability of trading views. Me and 5 other guys, we all start, and I watch his video, he watches my video. We all do this. Okay, well, I can watch 5 videos. Okay, and then all of a sudden we're all making more, and it's growing and growing, and I'm getting more people. Now I've got 10. You can't keep up with that. It's not sustainable. Like to grow a channel, you have to have people watching that just want to watch videos, not make. It's not a trading game by any means.
Yeah, you can only do that for so long. Then you lose track of too many people, or you spend all your time like, well, I got to watch all these because I know these people, or I message these people, and that's not. I mean, that doesn't even matter. Like you can be friends and go fish with guys, so you don't even watch their stuff. I mean, just don't. Yeah, I know that was a big thing when I started too. I remember seeing all these people. Hey, let's all watch each other's stuff and like all subscribe to each other. I'm like, what good is that gonna do?
No,
like don't worry about who subscribes or don't subscribes. Like, I watch more. I watch a lot of YouTube, and most of it's not fishing stuff. And I don't subscribe to any of the channels, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about. There's a what's that thing on YouTube? Honest trailers, and Screen Rant. Have you ever watched those? Those things crack me up. What is it called? But people know what I'm talking about. There's one of them's called Honest Trailers, and they do like a it's like a funny honest review of a movie, like a new movie that come out, and they're hilarious. And then there's another one, it's Pitch Meeting, and it's sort of similar, but it's like a guy sitting down pitching a movie idea to a producer, and they just come at it and they take a new movie that came out and they do that. And those I love watching stuff like that. That just makes me laugh. And
that sounds like a good concept.
It is hilarious. It's so well done. There's like 3 channels that do something like real similar stuff, but they do them hilarious. They're just very well produced and like executed. And I watch the basketball highlights. I watch Meat Eater on YouTube. It comes on there. I watch it sometimes. There's something else I watch. And then on for regular shows, I have gone through at least 3 times all episodes of Psych, the TV show, and Monk.
Classics. Dude, I used to watch those back in like my
dude, youth. I got them on a loop. I'm about to get finished with Monk again. I guess I'm going to start back over with Psych.
I like Monk.
That's something I can just sit down, and it's like I'll be editing, I'll be doing all this work, and I'm like, you know what? I gotta just sit and relax before I go to bed, and not be like so focused in. Let me watch an episode or 2 of this, and that's my. I gotta find something else. There is some other shows. I like the new Chris Pratt, where he's a vet where he had diagnosed with cancer. Terminal List. That was pretty good. I like them. I like some of the war action movies as long as they're not too much drama. I don't like the just overly drama ones.
So Game of Thrones.
I never watched the Game of Thrones. I did watch something similar to that. I think it was similar.
So, it can drag on so long because it's just all drama. It's all just constantly some ridiculous. Anyways, it's good.
Yeah. I do like sci-fi stuff and like that kind of things. But all right, a couple questions here that were in. I may have missed some of y'all. So if you have something to put in, you might want to try it again. Somebody asked, "What was our PB bass?" I may have lost your name somewhere.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I caught my big. So this year's been my year for like big fish. It's been crazy. I caught my biggest largemouth, 7 pounds and 8 ounces this March. And I'm actually going with the guy. We're supposed to go out tomorrow, but the guy I caught it with. I caught my biggest spotted bass, 5 pounds, 4 ounces, and then I broke it 5 pounds, 5 ounces. I caught 2 5-pound spotted bass. That's like that. If I never catch anything bigger than that in my life, I can say I caught 2 5-pound spotted bass. Caught both those this year. Both on Yum Dinger, by the way. all these were. The largemouth was too. And then we'll talk about smallmouth after this, but I caught 4 pound, what was it? I think 2 ounce. It was 4.15, whatever that is, 4.3 ounce smallmouth last Friday out of a river. And I got a couple topics off of that, but go ahead with yours, with your bass.
I can't say that I've got any big PBs from like a smallmouth or spotted bass standpoint. Nothing memorable enough to know an exact weight. And then I always get the question. So I just pulled up the picture. This was my PB, and this was many years ago. This was on a power plant lake back home in the Kansas area. And I don't know what it weighed. I was like 23.5 inches, and it was fat. I mean, I think it was safe to say it was at least 7, but I don't know how many pounds. I mean, it looked massive. I didn't have a scale that was functioning with me, and I'm not that worried about it. I mean, I caught it at the end of the day. That's my PB. I know it is. I just don't know what the weight was. So it was on a bomber fat-free shad. So shout out to Pradco.
What about smallmouth?
I don't know. Like a lot. I think I've caught more quantity of like decent fish as opposed to like any like behemoths. Like I definitely lost my PB a couple of years ago on the river, that stretch that I brought you to, and I told you about it. It's like lost what I know was a 5-pounder. I mean, it was a 5-pounder, but other than that, I think probably just shy of 4 if I was a betting man. So really nothing right.
I forgot. So my PB is 4 pound, 4 point. What was it? No, it's 4 pounds, 10 ounces. I forgot. Yeah, 4 pound, 10 ounce smallmouth. And that was with reed angling that was on Dale Hollow. But I've probably only caught 5 smallmouth over 20 inches. And that's a lot for some people, but for some people it depends on where you live. Like that's either a lot or that's like, I've caught 5 this year, something like that.
One of these years, I'm just going to devote all my time to smallmouth. I live in Michigan. If I wanted a 5-pound smallmouth, it's just a matter of taking the time to go try to get one. But I just get so distracted, and I fish for so many other species. And so like, I can't say that I haven't gone hard on smallmouth here, and I need to change that, but it's just all a matter of finding time to do so. So one of these years I'm going to do like 5-10 trips in a row, all to the river, and I'm just going to have a big smallmouth mentality, and we're going to make it happen.
Yeah. That is something that I thought I was going to do this year, and I didn't, and I would like to do is like spend a week, like 4 or 5 trips in a row. I'm going to go 4 or 5 trips in a row, maybe the same stretch of river, maybe the same or like different stretches of the same river, and I'm just targeting like the biggest, blah, blah, whatever I've ever caught.
You know what? Hold me accountable. I'm going to do that this year. 2023, and same for you, John. You got to do the same thing.
Here we go.
2023, we're going to both do like 5 trips in a row, all dedicated to a big smallmouth. And I will.
Do you make 5 different videos on it, or?
I'm going to do a series. It's going to be called, like, chasing.
That would be cool to follow. Yeah. Like, all right, I'm making 5 in a row.
Yep. And river. Yeah, I'll come up with my name, but it's going to be river focused smallmouth bass, and I'm going to my goal is something over 20 inches. That's it. Done. Project.
Dude, something for 20s. 20s for 20s.
River 20.
River 20. If it was in 2020, it'd be like 20s in 2020.
Dang it.
Man, we missed it.
We just go back in time. Please don't take me back to 2020.
Dude, no, actually, that was the best year for me because that was right when I quit. And there was no, like, if you wanted to travel somewhere right when the pandemic hit, there was like nobody on the road. It was awesome. I went anywhere I wanted to go. Too bad, like all these people up north are like locked down. Here we are. I'm just like driving state to state. Like, I don't care. I'm just driving all over.
You couldn't take a boat out in Michigan for a while. They literally shut down taking. I mean, I shouldn't get into all that, but like the fact that, like, looking back on it, like, no, you can't take a boat out. Like,
what do you think? You want to get out there in the middle of the lake for everybody? No.
But you can take a kayak out. So I'm just like, I'm out there. I'm just like, well, nobody's pushing me around.
One thing on that. The funniest thing I cannot get my head around is I went to, so I traveled a lot, and I would go to Walmarts, and that's when they used to always be 24-hour Walmarts, right? And now it's like they close at 9 o'clock, and they only have one door open. It's like, we're going to funnel everybody into this one door, and we're only going to give you 10 hours to go. So you got to like hurry up. Everybody's got to be going through. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's like, that makes a lot of sense. Let's see here. Here's a question for Ethan. Have you ever fished the St. Joseph River?
Yeah, I actually just saw that question. I have not yet, but that's on the list. It's just a matter of it'll take me like at least an hour to get there. So, I find that most of the fishing trips I do are inside of 30 minutes from my house just because of time constraints, but I want to go there. If I have a full day, that's definitely on the list. Chances of getting a 3-inch mule frog, I don't know. Can't say that I've ever really thought about it. But you never know. I mean, frogs are fun.
Chasing Bronze. That's a good title name.
It's a good name.
Craycrawl would be all over that. He'd whoop us. All right, let's go. Let's dive into these topics.
Yep.
I got a few things. We're gonna hit them hard. If you got comments or questions about these, jump in. First off, I need from the audience. Actually, you might know. So I bought 2 of these for my kayak. I just need one. This is the Skeg, something like, I don't know what the name of the thing is. It's on our Old Towns. It's the back piece where they slide. Mine is wore so far down you can't even tell that this is a piece. And then the piece of my kayak is wore down. I feel like it's about to have a hole in it. What can I'm gonna replace this. Also, I bought some new pedals because the foaming came off and then mine were squeaking. So I bought some new pedals, both sides, a new piece. I'm going to flip my kayak over, and I want to spray it with something. What can I spray on my kayak that will like kind of fill in all the scratches and deep, notches? I don't know if I want it. Maybe there's something you need to put on it, then like put something slick on it where it'll slide easier. Or maybe I just need to like spray like I thought about using like bed liner, and like I'll just spray all the pieces that got some deep ridges, like just spray bed liner and just like kind of coat it in. I'm gonna do something to it. I need to like kind of revise it. Anybody got anything on that?
Yeah, I don't know.
They can put that in there. I just want to throw in there.
Yeah, seems like a lot.
Do what?
Bed liner probably. I don't know if I would do that, but
it'd be too like resistant. Like.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I'm sure you could probably reach out to Old Town directly too. They might have a suggestion.
I've Googled a few things, but it never gave me a good answer. Like I don't know. It was always like, I don't know. I kind of wanted something that had some thickness to it where I could like kind of fill in and like almost add some coating to the bottom. I know they say wax it to make it slicker, but yeah, Flex Seal, something like that. I just didn't know how well that would it peel off? Would it? I probably have to sand it down and stuff. Maybe too much work. I'll just wait till the kayak sinks. It'll just sink one day, and I'll be like, "Well, there went that kayak." I thought about just heating up the bottom and like letting it like all that the plastic just like melt back together.
There's gonna be a video where the thumbnail's gonna be like a warped kayak that's all beat up, and you're gonna be like, "I messed up," is the title.
I've melted a hole in my kayak trying to fix it. So recently, we'll just talk about this real quick. There's a big smallmouth caught. 10 pounds, 10.1. Quick Caller put a video. That was really cool. He put a good video talking about it on there.
Oh, yeah?
I saw it. It was crazy. Never thought anybody'd ever catch a 10 pounder again, like smallmouth wise. And it's just one of those. I just think it's like one of those things that's. It's like a guy that's. It's like a shack. Like how many people? Like how do you couldn't even grow another shack if you wanted to. Like you can do whatever you want to do. You're not going to get a guy that big and agile and stuff like that. So a smallmouth. I think the same way. It's just there may be some out there, but it's so rare. It just has to be a freak of a fish that just everything went 100% right. I don't think the world record. That's 2 pounds off the world record still. Pretty much a 10 pounder, 2 pounds off the world record. That's crazy. Anyways, I caught a big smallmouth. Hopefully, it'll be in a video next week. I should have that out. Wait a minute, maybe 2 weeks from now. I don't know. I have to kind of space them out because I need to put some other stuff in there. It was 20.25, so it was a legit over 20, and it was 4 pounds. It was 4.1 pounds, and that leads me into later on in that trip. I'm going down another rock wall, and the first one I caught was on it's a Booyah Melee. It's their chatterbait thing, and I don't use those a lot. And I just like I'll throw this, and I caught a couple. I was like, hey, I'll keep throwing it. I throw it off this rock wall. This fish like slams it as soon as it hits the water. It was a crazy bite. I got like most of them on camera. I get that fish in, so I don't. I'll explain this in a minute. So I was throwing that on a medium heavy spinning rod with braid. Throw it on there. I had a rod with me that was a medium heavy, extra fast casting rod with braid. I switched lures, put it on that casting rod because I was like, I was practicing. I was like, it's a little easier to cast on this rod, and I'm trying to learn how to do that. About an hour later, I toss it off another rock wall, gets slammed by the smallie. He jumps out of the air, comes back down right in front of me and my buddy Josh. Jumps up again, starts fighting. I'm getting ready to pull into the net, and he comes off. And it might have been bigger. If not bigger, it was so close to the same size. It was at least a 4 pounder, and it was at least 20 inches. It could have been bigger. It could have been 5 pound. It was a big smallmouth. I'm trying to come up with the right combo for. I know the rod was too stiff. I knew it was stiff. I knew I shouldn't have thrown it on that rod, and I did because I was just like, I don't use it a lot. I'm like, if I was using just a softer rod, I probably would have landed that fish. Or maybe if I wasn't using braid. That being said, that's something I'm going to have to work out because it also depends on, sometimes it's just how you like to fish certain ways. But that being said, I know I lost that fish because if I'd have had the right combo, really set up right for that, I'm 99% sure that fish would have stayed on because I would have had more give. It would have let it eat that lure instead of me jerking it so fast. How much is a rod and line? How much of that does it equal better fishing success?
I think rod and line, I mean, depending on what you're throwing, but I think rod and line are extremely important to match up with the style of fishing you're doing. So whether we're talking about ultralight fishing or what you're talking about right now, like a smallmouth bass, pike, whatever, you need to match up the rod taper, the action and the power of it with the line that you're using, and then ultimately what the hook is. Probably the hook is the most important out of the lure, right? So a chatterbait or a adjacent bait, a Booyah Melee, I think you said it was called, they probably have a pretty stout jig. So you have to kind of cater to that to an extent. But I can't tell you the exact combo I would use necessarily for a bladed bait. And the reason I would say that is because it feels like bladed jigs, nobody can quite agree what the best rod and reel is, or rod and line setup is, because I know people that throw them on a flipping stick, and I know people that throw them on a glass crankbait rod. And I mean, those two rods couldn't be more different. So I think you kind of have to experiment with that and get a feel for what you like. I would say I've thrown them on a lot of things, but I'd say something like 6 foot, or probably about 7 foot, and a medium heavy, and still a soft enough tip, like you said, to where it's still got a little bit of flex in it, not too much of a broomstick. But I've lost my fair share of fish on those as well, so I don't know exactly. But to go back on your question, it's I think line and rod are extremely important to ultimately the amount of fish that you hook and land. And I see I'd say that's as important for ultralight fishing as anything. So
that's kind of where I wanted to take it. I wanted to start with that smallmouth, and that's not something I'm gonna even like, be able to give a comment about, because I don't know exactly what I want to use, and I'm trying to come up with I'm just now getting into casting rods, and I'm trying to come up with a casting setup for spinner baits mainly, but also I'm like kind of want it for this. It's kind of the same type of bait, something where the fish can suck it in without me jerking too hard, and I've done that a bunch with spinner baits. I've jerked it out of the fish's mouth as soon as they hit, and it's not, giving that flex.
And that's why some people use the glass rod for chatterbaits, is because by the time that you feel that bite, they've already had a chance to like hit it and then suck it in.
Yeah.
And so then your rod absorbs it more, and you do your sweep hook set, and like it should hopefully pin it. And so I get the logic behind that. I don't like glass rods at all. I don't like how like flexible they are. And so that's not my style. But I do think you have to probably have a little bit more discipline if you're going to use a traditional graphite rod. It's going to be a little stouter. And what I mean by that is it's either you put mono on it and you kind of make up for the rod. Because braid with that rod, I mean, that's you're gonna like, that hook is so beefy, and if you've got your drag locked down and that fish isn't, there's a good chance you're gonna rip that hook like out of, like if they're skin hooked, it's coming, like, and you're gonna just rip that skin right off them. So so
you're right. That's just something. But I was just wanting to take that because a lot of people, like, they really worry, and I've watched tons of videos on that. But you take that same concept, and you definitely can take it into ultralight fishing. And I don't think a lot of people put a lot of thought into that, where people, they're going to go out ultralight fishing, and we've talked about this before, and that's why like you do such a good job on your channel explaining like why it's different, why these, how does this rod feel? How does that rod feel? What does it feel with braid? What does it feel with, do I want this rod on it, their line on it? Do I want this line on it? Pairing that up makes a big difference in fishing, even for small fish. Like, they're just small fish. It's what a fish is a fish. If you're trying to catch it, having the right setup makes a big difference. And that's like a lot of guys are using I hear it all the time, like, I just can't cast say a trout magnet, because I that size of lure, a 1/64 ounce jig head little lure, and I'm like, what are you throwing it on? 8-pound line or 6-pound line. I'm like, well, yeah, that's the problem. And maybe a medium rod or something like that. I'm like, well, yeah, there's you need a rod that's gonna flex with a a rod that has a flex with a 1/64 ounce jig head is a pretty light rod, but also at the same time not just so flexible that the fish is already, that you saw that fish hit and let go before you felt it, and that happens too. It's like,
it's funny. I'm glad you're talking about this. So like, for those of you, I'm not trying to like plug myself by any means, but my last video, the video I just put out yesterday, is basically exactly about that. It's literally how to cast like ultralight lures farther. And
that's good.
Yeah. So like, going back on kind of your point here, it's like you talked about like braid versus mono versus all these things. And this happens to be a 1/64 ounce jig, and this is actually that rod you gave me. It's that super ultralight. So this one's rated down, like the ratings on this rod on the low side is 0.6 grams, which is the equivalent of about a 1/50th ounce jig. You don't find those in most rods, but
yeah, that's crazy.
So you need ratings that are going to be kind of catered to what you're throwing. So most ultralights are 1/32 on the low side. And a 1/32 can still cast a 1/64 ounce jig. I just think the rod manufacturers don't really title it that way. But really what you're looking for is like, when you go to make a cast, like, is that rod tip like loading up a little bit when you cast it? Is it actually getting some bend when you're going to kind of whip it out there? If it is, then it should be able to help the trajectory and help kind of push that jig forward and give it some velocity. And that's exactly what I talked about in that video. So I think very relevant conversation. So I definitely talk a lot about that. I experiment a ton with line. I'd say with line, like, if we're talking casting distance, the lower the diameter and low memory, you're going to have good casting distance. But if you go high diameter, like you said, 8-pound test, and you're trying to cast something like that, you're just never going to do it.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch that video because I get asked a lot about that. They're like, "How do you cast lures?" First off, on my GoPro, it may look further than I actually am.
Yeah.
But there is rods that throw lighter lures better than others. So I mean, you have to go into it, and I mean, whenever I'm feeling, you probably do the same thing. After I've used so many rods, every time I'm at a store, I look at one. I'm like, "What's it rating say?" Oh, I'm gonna feel it. Nah, it doesn't feel right.
Mhm.
I'm always like, that feels more like this. No, that feels more like
Yeah.
that. So I
Yeah.
picked up a
Both
rod
sides all
recently.
over the place. Yeah.
It is the rating system is crazy. That first off, so whatever you get, especially with those what's the one you just did the review on? I can't think of the name. I forget what they're called. But
The Matrix.
The Dobbins,
Dobbins.
like
Yeah.
the Dobbins rods, like their bass rods are like crazy. Like I have, I have a 6.6 Dobbins light rod, and it's like a medium light at
Hmm.
the least. Almost like a medium. It's crazy how stiff it is, and it feels great. But like if I was looking at it as a light, I don't think of it that way. I think of it like I'm like, this ain't light. This is more like a medium light to a medium. And then I picked up a rod just the other day, and I've used it a little bit. It's another light. I really like it as a multi-species rod, and I think I'm gonna really like it. It's a 6.3 light action. What's the guy's name? It's not Bass Pro. I got it from Bass Pro. Quantum. It's Quantum, the Bill Dance something
Nice.
Quantum. So he makes it, and I thought it was really cool to see that because it's all bass rods, and then they make a 6.3 light. And I've seen it for a while, and I'm like, I got to try that out. It's like $89. So I bought it just last week. I've used it a couple times, and I had them go ahead and put 6-pound mono on there for me, and I put it on a 1,000 size reel. I forget the name. It's a step below the Nasi.
Sedona?
The what?
Sedona?
I think. Well, it was $89.
Oh, might be one above the Sedona. They got too many names.
Yeah, it feels really good, but so I like, and then I used it, and I went down in size, and I was like, I know I'm using 6-pound line, but I'm gonna try to throw a light lure, and it's too stiff to throw a light lure. And I was getting bites, and it was so stiff I couldn't. I was like jerking it too hard, So that rod is rated as a light, where my light TFO rod is like almost ultralight. Like it is so sensitive, and it's funny, but I like I like how you specialize in that kind of stuff and can give people actual information where you cannot find that information anywhere. Like people don't make videos and talk about these rods comparing them because nobody uses a lot of them that much to compare them. And I think it's interesting, but I think more and more people are going to get into this type of fishing, multi-species, just going out for bluegill, crappie, whatever. And I like braid on some of my ultralights, or my lighter and ultralights. I kind of include them together because they're kind of all mixed. And then and then I like a little 2-pound line on some of them, 4-pound line on some of them. And I have I'm starting to have more dedicated rods. Like, all right, this one here is my 2-pound line, like tiny ultralight. This is my sort of ultralight, and I got 4-pound line. This is my, this is like light with 6-pound braid, So I'm like,
Yeah.
and you start to specialize in like what you want to cast and what you're wanting to, use, and even in those like little lures. You're not just, there's a lot of guys out there that got one ultralight rod. Like you can specialize if that's what you like doing, just like in bass rods or catfish rods. You can have and specialize and have fun with a lot of different ultralight stuff. And I definitely think that's the thing to get into. If you're interested in that, do that. That's something for fun for sure.
Yeah. Yep. I make the videos mostly just to help guide people into the right gear from the start. That way they're not getting the wrong rod, because I recognize like most people don't probably want 5 ultralights. They probably want one. They want it to do the work for them, and that's kind of like the goal. So like I want to be very clear. Like I'm not like advocating for having 20 ultralights. It's pointless. You don't need it. I do it so you don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to. You can if you want to.
If you want to,
If
like,
you're
hey,
into
it's
that.
fun, but at the same time, it's also like sometimes I look in my house, I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
we just purge everything. Like I go to a minimum, just like have like 3 rods and be done with it.
Yeah.
I
I
haven't.
think you could probably have you done that's probably a good idea. You need to do a video, the 3 ultralight rods you need. Or maybe 2. I think 3
Yeah,
would be cool though. If you were like, because most people don't even think of more than 1. It's either 1 or maybe they're like, I got 15.
yeah.
And like,
I
all
was
right, why would you need? And I did like some videos. I remember last year with like using braid on ultralight, and for me that was kind of a new concept. And I was like, I like this. This is fun.
yes, yeah.
And I had a lot of people comment about it, and they're like, I never thought about that much either. And I'm like, yeah, I hadn't either, but the more I do it, the more I want it on there. And you can go away with a lighter action rod because you're making up for it with the braid,
Hmm.
and you can kind of give or take. Somebody said something real quick about yeah. Here's a little update. Johnny Weaver said LureNet is coming out with a creek lure bag. Yes, they are, and I have it. It's kind of a bad time of the year. I wanted to do a video on it. It's kind of a hard time of the year to do a video like creek fishing. It's also, but it's got different stuff in there. And so stay tuned if you are interested in that and you're watching and you happen to watch my video that I do. I'm gonna do a review on the bag, and it's gonna be a bag they do every 2 months. I think a lot of people that are into creek fishing will like it. It's kind of cool. It's got some stuff that I wouldn't use. It's got some stuff that I definitely would use. It's a good little bag, and it is actually in a baggie, and it's clear and it's like thick material, and it's really neat. So I'm gonna do a video on it, just kind of unbagging it, I guess, not unboxing, and just kind of showing. It's more of like an update. And then hopefully we'll do some fishing with it soon. All right, all right. Do you have anything to add to ultralight fishing or?
Just one question I saw. What was like the lowest diameter I use? I usually do 2 pound mono is kind of one of my go tos, and then I like 6 pound braid. Um,
What was the mono that you gave me? Because I have no idea where it's at, or was it
yeah,
fluoro?
it's
You gave me 2 pounds something, and I've
yeah,
searched for an hour for it, and I have no idea where it's at.
it was 2 pound trilene sensation. It's like
I'm gonna get some.
$9.50 for 330 yards, but it's a copolymer. But basically, that's just a coated monofilament, and I just find that it casts really well, no memory issues, and it really outperforms its strength. So like,
Hmm,
no way. I'm
yeah.
not tied to Berkeley in any way, shape, or form, but I just like that. I think it's a great product, and it's a really budget friendly option that I've just had tremendous success with. So that's kind of one of my go to recommendations.
Creek Color says, "Have you ever tried 2 pound fluoro?"
I've used fluoros and they're fine. So the casting distance is there. They cast really well because they're lower diameter. What I don't like about fluorocarbon is I find that anything less than 6 pound on fluorocarbon just gets to the point where it's very brittle, and monofilm is just stronger. It does not snap near as easily. It handles problems better. I find that like when I'm fishing around a dock and it runs up against a post, I'm not a goner. Whereas a fluoro, it's just gonna snap. So I don't like the fluoro as much. It just reduces my headaches using the mono.
If you take 2 pound and just do that, you can break it. But it is amazing what you can catch with it, and it is definitely something I think everybody should try doing it. Like I'm not saying go out and use 2 pound for bass
Correct.
because
Yeah.
you'll break it on this hook set, but just go out and if it's don't be super afraid. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm afraid to go lower than 6 pound. Just if you're catching bluegill and a crappie or whatever, just 2 pound is fine. It's
Yeah.
kind of it's definitely, and
You know,
you can do a lot with it you wouldn't think.
yeah, and fish your conditions too. Like we talked about this, John, when you were up here. It wasn't in the videos, but John fishes in creeks with a bunch of timber and stuff. He's probably not going to throw 2 pound as often as I am. I fish
Yeah.
in a little more open water. Like I don't have as many risks. If I was fishing around a lot of like timber and brush, yeah, I'm going to probably step it up a little bit. I might use a light power rod and 4 pound test, or stick with the 6 pound braid. So fish your conditions. If you're in an area with lots of brush, probably don't use 2 pound.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That definitely plays a factor in like where you fish and how you fish. And for me, like even bass fishing, I had to go up to 10 pound. I used 10 pound fluorocarbon leader, just like just waiting for bass because
Mm.
I've broken off so many times on 6 pound and 8 pound. Just because there's so much structure and there's so many rocks and so many things in a lot of those, and it all it takes is a little nick that you didn't know, and it's gone. Which, of course, anything with a nick in it can break, but give yourself some room. Somebody said something else here. No, okay. This is probably the last thing, and I don't know. I want to know. I know you have thoughts on this, and it's something I'm thinking about making a video on. I'm going to try to do it, and it's something I've put thought into the last couple of years. Downsizing your lures. Now, everybody says to do this, in the bass fishing world. Downsize to get bites. Downsize to catch bigger fish. And when I mean bigger fish, I mean bluegill. Because they are the, if you fish for if you've actually gone out and targeted bluegill like multiple times, I know I've made some videos in the winter where I'm like, man, I can't even get the bluegill to bite. And people are like, bluegill, I can catch 20 of those with my eyes closed. I'm like, certain days you can. Certain days you can't. Go out and try to do it multiple times or target bluegill, and you'll have days where you find it's harder than you think. That's what's funny. It's like it's not always like, yeah, just jerking in bluegill. But I have found especially in the winter, when to go super small, and the bigger of the fish that are in those groups will come and hit that lure.
So yeah, I mean, I think with bluegill, like ultimately, like one of the things that I find fascinating is more like the biology side of things. And when I've like read and learned about bluegill, it's basically, if you really know what a bluegill eats, whether we're talking about smaller ones or even the big ones, I mean, it's like phytoplankton and
I never thought about that.
Tiny little microorganisms. So You're exactly right. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, those big bluegill are not eating 3-inch minnows very often. Sure, they're opportunistic feeders. Like they're going to eat a minnow if they get the chance. Like they're kind of like a bass in that sense. But at the end of the day, like the bulk of what they consume is like tiny little insect larva that is like hatching. They're a fisheries biologist friend of mine said they're the trout of the Midwest or whatever. Like they're basically very similar to trout in a lot of ways, in the sense that they consume so many like insect larvae and that sort of thing. So yeah, I would say small lures across the whole year is always a great way to catch bluegill. But yeah, I think when the water's colder, I think it becomes more and more important. The other thing that I've started to realize with bluegill, and I've never heard anyone talk about this. This is totally my own observation, and I could be wrong. But what I've been starting to see is that color makes a difference in water temperatures. So the warmer water temperatures, when the bluegill are aggressive, they like bright, and they like the chartreuse, the fire red, that stuff that pops. But when the water gets colder, they want more natural colors, and they eat it better. And I've seen this happen numerous times this year already. As the water temperature started to dip off, I throw chartreuses and pinks, and I'm not getting bit at all. I make a slight change, and I'm immediately pelting bluegill. And I'm like, there's something to this. And
are you like darker colors or what?
So like more of your browns, and you're like a black head as opposed to a chartreuse head.
Okay.
So like, and again, this is one of the Mule ones, but you can apply this principle to other companies too. So this is a pasture fire, is what the color is on a Donkey Tail Junior. So it's kind of like a brown with orange, a little more natural, a little more toned down, and then a black jig head. And this was the actual one I was catching a lot of bluegill on here recently. This also happens to be what caught my biggest bluegill ever, 10 1/4 inch earlier this year. And so, yeah, definitely natural colors plus micro presentations in colder water is what I would say for bigger bluegill. Then the other thing I would say is, I mean, I do a lot of ice fishing, not because I love it, but because that's my only option once we get into winter here. And I have found over the last couple of years, like, what works for those bigger bluegill through the ice is the really small plastics, like ice plastics. Usually, they're like an inch long, and they're kind of like things with like little arms. Kind of looks like an insect larva, right? The stuff that is just like a straight tail, I never hardly get bit on. But the stuff that has like the little arms that looks like insect larva, they chomp it. So definitely, I think the same principle applies depending on where you live. For me, I happen to be on top of hard water. A lot of you might be in the South, and you don't have to deal with that crap. But I think you can still apply the same principles, and you'll catch lots of fish.
I've always thought, and then we'll answer a couple of line questions I missed. If I'm putting a small lure on there, if it can have some arms coming off, I always thought I got more bites. and maybe it's just like hey, that looks more like a bug. But I mean, if you look, I mean, any bugs that they eat all have little arms, little spidery looking things. So I love those little tiny baits. They can be super tiny. I actually picked up some of these, and it's cool to do. You know, the Trout Magnet makes that one that's a 200th ounce jig head. I don't know if people see this. And these are like impossible to cast almost, but you can put them on a bobber or something. But even something like that is like, you know, that is people would, you know, that's, you would think that's just ridiculous. I don't even think it's an inch long, but that right there will catch like a 10-inch bluegill. Will probably hit that before he hits, like you said, a 2-inch minnow. Like he'd rather eat that right there. And that's how I caught my my biggest red ear was. A couple of my biggest ones were both after I was fishing with Bobby Garland's, and they're only 1.5 to 2 inches. And a bluegill or a red ear could get that in its mouth, no problem. They could suck that in.
Yeah.
But I'd be fishing, and I know there's fish there, can't catch them. Switch to a smaller one, the itty bit. I love those little itty bits. It's got a little tail on it. I can't remember which one it is. And then I catch bigger fish, and I'm like, that's crazy. It just doesn't make sense. Those bigger ones come out and they'll eat that because it's like, I don't know what it is, but I feel like, I don't know why bluegill look like they're lazy when they're eating sometimes. But when they it's like, I don't want to open my mouth that big. Then they see something little, like, okay, I guess I'll just take a peck out of it.
and I think part of it's probably like the how much energy they perceive they're gonna have to use to eat it.
I think they have to like chase it
like,
or something.
See that tiny little thing, they know that when they go get it, they're gonna get it. And I think that like the instincts, like they may not have the brains that we have, but they have some serious. They're animals. They have instincts, and they're able to kind of muscle memory and just kind of pick and choose what they eat according to like what their brain tells them at the time. So yeah, I definitely think there's something to it. I mean, my kind of go-to through like the warm weather seasons is like my little Mule minnow 1.2, and that's a straight tail. That's more of a minnow profile, but it's just a tiny little bait fish type pattern, and I catch just every.
And it's just funny. It's like you don't even have. So, I mean, sometimes I know we put way more emphasis on what a lure looks like than fish do. So just if you see something like, especially that little Mule minnow, I know there's probably so many guys that maybe they've been to your page or maybe they see you and they're like, I would never throw that because it doesn't make sense in their mind to throw something. But you got it if you wanted. If you're into this type of stuff or this type of fishing, you got to try those little slurs. Throw that on 2-pound line and just see what bites it. You might be surprised, but
those Bobby Garland itty bitty ones are amazing too. I love those baits. I love the little tiny tail.
Now that I've started using them more, man, those things catch bluegill, and like the bluegill red ear stuff. Like, dude, they'll just. I've watched so many. Well, they'll just eat that where I'm throwing something else just a little bit bigger and they will not touch it,
Yeah, those are good baits.
Here's a couple questions real quick. I missed, have you, what did it say? Johnny says, have any of you used straight braid? Let me start real quick. Cause I said, when I first got into braid, like 3 years ago, when the first time I ever started using braid, I started with just straight braid to my line, to my lure. Yes, I caught tons of fish. Works great. On clear water, not clear water. I was catching fish, but I broke off a bunch of times where that fish barely rubbed me on a rock and it snapped a line. And also obviously the fish can see it. Not that they know what line is, but it can be a hindrance. But did you ever try that, or did you just kind of never? You're too good for that.
I've done it out of necessity before. I just, it's a confidence thing for me. I like a leader because I don't want them to see it. And to your point, braid has poor abrasion resistance, so if you're fishing around rocks and stuff, that's going to potentially slice into it. It's gonna be gone. But I always fish a leader, and I don't envision changing that because it's a confidence thing.
Oh yeah. What's your knot? What kind of knot you use?
I just do the double uni knot. It's never really given me problems. Usually, if I do ever break a leader off, I almost always get my knot back in a little segment of either fluorocarbon or mono, depending on what I'm throwing, and it's so easy for me. Some people do these really fancy ones now, and it just seems like a pain to learn. So I just don't want to learn it.
I'm waiting for a reason to change. Like when I started doing the uni knot, that's the only knot I use for everything I do. I tie anything. I don't care what I'm tying on. I use a uni knot. And obviously, if you are a ultralight guy and maybe like I always did the improved clinch knot. I was like the only knot I knew when I was growing up. It's the only one I ever figured out. That's all I always heard. And I would put 4-pound line on there, and it would burn it sometimes. You're like, man, and you see those waves in the line right when you cinch it down, and you're like, I know it's making that line weak. And then when I started doing uni knot, it doesn't burn it. When it cinches down, I don't have to worry that much about it, even with like lighter line. And then I started
lure. I always do a Palomar, just like the
Palomar.
loop thing. That one's easy too. Double uni knot for leaders, Palomar for standard.
Yeah, and then when I started putting leader to a leader online, I was like, I want to find something easy, and I saw the double uni, and I was like, well, that makes sense. And I'm like, well, I can do this really quick, especially while I'm floating down my kayak down the river. Only ties together, boom, done. And I haven't had any trouble with it. Yeah, maybe a little louder. It may hit the eyes louder than maybe another one, but I can tie it really fast and it holds up. Shell crackers are starting to come out. So when I was telling you earlier in the video, I was telling you I saw those bass. I saw some massive red ear shell crackers. Why are shell crackers so weird? Why? Whenever I see schools of them, I cannot get them to bite. I don't know if it's just me or they're just different. Like I saw they were like 10 and 11 inch ones. There were a bunch of big ones and they were thick. You could see how thick they were. I couldn't get them to bite anything. I fished for 20 minutes for them probably.
I don't have red ear around me, unfortunately. I have to.
Oh yeah.
There's red ear on the east side of the state that I could go catch, but I haven't found anywhere with real red ear. But we have pumpkin seed. But red ear are definitely a funny sunfish because they do consume like a huge portion of their diet is snails. So
that's right. You told me that.
That's why they're called a shell cracker. They crack the shell, like they eat. So like they can be weird about eating lures because sometimes they just like they're honed in on what they do. Like, so from my understanding, like, yeah, when there's certainly times they'll eat whatever, right? But there's times they're probably extremely difficult. So I think from what I've heard is when they're difficult, you kind of just have to like soak a worm on them, like a live worm.
And that's, yeah, I wish I'd have had some, but I've also seen them where if I just drop my lure to the ground, they'll come over and inspect it. I got a better chance of catching them, like picking my lure up off the bottom. But I love catching red ear if I can, because those things are so cool. They're so beefy.
I wish we had them. I love this.
I've only seen them schooled up a couple times and caught them. But most of the time, or I've caught them off a bed. But most of the time when I see them, like bigger ones, I can't get them to bite. I'm like, I don't know. Like you'll see them and just I'm like, what are they doing? Let's see here. That was one of the main things I want to talk about was downsizing. So I know. Hopefully this helps some people out. I don't know if all the people watching are like into multi-species or into bluegill fishing, and that's something that is a fun thing to fish for this time of year. If you want to go try to find something, go smaller, go cast out, and you could, there could be, and that's the thing. Like for me, whenever I see them, I'll see them like in the river and lake, and they'll be like 3 or 4 foot off the bank. They're just like right off the bank sometimes, hanging out right there, and they'll just be all up and down the bank sometimes, and then they move deeper, and I don't know where. I guess they go deeper somewhere, and then they come back sometimes. And that smaller lure gets a big one. Let's see here. Chris, what's up, man? I've been using elbow to knot braid for fluorocarbon. Simpler than a double uni. All right, well, I'm going to have to learn that one. I know he likes his braid. Mike's out fishing. Shell crackers bite slow. They watch your bait for a while. Okay. I'll remember that. I'll next time I do, I'll just try to really go slow and try to get it up in there. Okay. I think that was it. Last question I got for you is now that's, let's say winter's coming on, or maybe in another month, what's your fish that you really want to go for in the wintertime? Like maybe it's something you're like more excited about. Like maybe it's better in the winter. Maybe the same fish all year long. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be the unpopular one from a YouTube standpoint because nobody cares about yellow perch. But I think yellow perch is kind of what I would like to catch more of this year. And part of that is I would like to actually keep a few throughout the ice fishing season and kind of put them in my freezer. That way I can cook up some fried fish for my dad and I this coming year. in the spring.
Have you done a catch and cook with yellow perch on a video?
I don't do like I don't my filming stops at my fishing trip. I don't I don't want to film cooking. I love like I'll take a picture of the finished product and like I did that with like my crappie. I made some fish tacos with them. I'll throw that on my Instagram or something, but I'm not gonna like film in my kitchen. I don't really want to. So
you probably didn't see it. I made a catch and cook with yellow perch like
I saw the
3 or 4 weeks
I didn't
ago.
watch it, but I saw that you
And
did.
I didn't show I didn't show cleaning them because I butchered them. But it turned out like I got meat out of it. I ate it. It was great. I'm like, I'm gonna have to try this more often. It was a lot of little extra work and stuff, but I'm trying to do more things like that.
I didn't know how to clean yellow perch that much just because I never really kept them before because I was from Kansas. But my buddy sent me a couple of videos, and there's like this one technique that it made it so easy. And I watched a couple of videos on doing it, and then I tried it for myself last year when I kept a few, and it like you can clean them so easy, and you get all the meat off of them. And I don't even remember, but you basically like cut the head and you like rip it, and then it peels all the thing off, and then you just basically cut out the ribs. It's really not hard, but I'll have to see if I can track down that video and send it to you because I think if I catch them this year, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that video a few times because I definitely want to clean up a few and make some tasty tacos. Yellow perch are delicious. Crappie are delicious. I don't need to keep every fish I catch by any means, but keeping them from time to time, I definitely want to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do some more catch and cooks, but yeah, whenever you can, whenever you come down here, that I'll hopefully someday you can come down here for like a week and just because we have I'm so glad I got to go up there and fish you, and I would love to get you down here and just like take you to some of my favorite spots, and it would be a blast. And we have lots of different species around here. That's like this is like one of the most diverse places. I don't know. It's just there's so much, but
that is something I want to do. So I think like people that are watching this that watch my videos, feel free to pester me in my comments. Just keep it top of mind for me because
send me money.
And it's not
buy a mule fishing lure so you can make a trip.
It's not about that as much as it is just finding the time. But I think like if I'm able to just set aside like a long weekend and just make it happen, like that's a high priority for sure because the style of fishing you do, the type of opportunities you have in your area, like definitely want to do it. So we'll make it happen. I trust we will.
Hey, Ethan, I really appreciate you coming on here. Sorry to keep you this late. I know you got to get up early. You got a lot of stuff going on. So if you don't know, this used to be Online Outdoorsman. Now he's Fish Anything. He still got his mule fishing. So I did a video. I don't know if anybody went to your channel from it, but I did a video on my second channel reviewing some of your lures. I just went through the box of stuff you gave me and talked about them. And I've been doing that for I got like 5 different lure stuff that like specialize in smaller ultralight more stuff, and I'm just doing more reviews and things like that on the second channel. But
I do appreciate that sincerely. I will tell you there's been a lot of people that have discovered Mule because of the content you put out, and I know that you've got companies you work with, and the fact that you did that is something that you did not have to do, and I greatly appreciate it, and it means a lot because it's just a little side thing for me, and every order counts. So it truly does mean the world to me. And we'll have to do another one of these live streams one of these times. If I ever start doing live streams on my channel, you'll probably be one of the first people I ask. So maybe stay tuned for that, I guess.
Yeah, man. Well, hopefully you'll want to do it again. I'd like to get you back, and because I don't know, we have a lot of stuff in common. We think a lot for fishing, and I can't say I don't do that with a lot of people, so it works out great. Really appreciate you coming on, everybody. I really appreciate the support. We got a lot of people watching and asking questions, being engaged. Whenever y'all are asking questions, engaging and stuff, it really makes me feel better. It makes you feel like you care. Even if you don't, that's fine. You can just put some random comments on there. But all right, that's gonna be the end of it. Like I said, hopefully my basketball team wins the game Thursday. Then we win this tournament. We need some winning. We need some games to win. We only won one last year, so if we can start out with a win, we'd already be top to that. And I got several new videos coming out. What you got coming out on your channel? Anything?
I'm pretty. I don't know. I don't know what's coming out. It depends on what I get into over the next couple of weeks. I mean, I've got one cold water bass fishing video in the works, but other than that, nothing. So I'm gonna have to get out and fish a little bit, and I've got a couple of videos I just want to film in my office here.
I've already reached back. I had to reach back and do an old video. Like I had someone saved, and I usually have like 7 videos ahead. I'm usually scheduled out like 5, 7 videos. I have like 1 or 2. I'm really low. My views have actually, just real quick, dude. My views have dropped in half since like last month, and that's just this time of the year. And also everything's slowing down. I can't get out. I've only been able to get out 2 videos a week instead of 3 last couple of weeks. But you don't want to hear about that.
Hey, get out there and fish some more. That's all. That's what I'm
going tomorrow. So everybody wish you luck. Hopefully I'll do good tomorrow.
Go get it done.
Caught some good ones. So all right, thanks for watching. Appreciate everybody.